Fire Amelia Warner said something that made Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson feel embarrassed. It was getting dark as soft yellow lights began to illuminate the small square next to the Venice Art Gallery. Soft music, flutes, violins drifted from the hall. In the air, filled with the scent of orange blossoms and light wine cocktails, many famous faces smiled and greeted each other. Amelia Warner, a musician, actress, respected for her talent and calm demeanor, had been invited to chair the exchange between film and music artists. She wore a soft emerald green silk dress, a small gold watch on her wrist, her hair pulled back into a low bun at the nape of her neck, her eyes intent on every word the others said. Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson were also there, to mingle, to meet industry insiders, to talk about a joint project they were thinking about, a musical film with Amelia contributing to the score. It was the first time the three of them had actually spent time talking in such a relaxed setting. No interviews, no cameras, just art, music, film, and late-night stories over drinks. Jamie said to Amelia, "I've heard your new music, and I want to know what you think." Dakota chuckled, "I'm curious too. When music meets film, sometimes the stronger one dominates the emotion." Amelia nodded, her eyes sparkling. Music, especially when it's placed in the right place, can make an ordinary scene vibrate. Everyone laughed, raising their glasses. Jamie felt his heart warm. Dakota looked at Jamie, as if to share the excitement. Preparations beyond the lights. After the main event, there was a smaller party in the garden behind the gallery, where only a few people had been invited: the writer, the director, the musicians, the producers, and Amelia, Jamie, Dakota. No cameras, no paparazzi, just the gentle sounds of the trees, the night breeze, and soft chatter. Jamie stood in the corner of the garden, smoking an electronic cigarette, light smoke, a faint blue glow, and looking up at the stars. Dakota held a mint cocktail, strolling around the garden, enjoying the scent of jasmine. Amelia sat on a wooden chair, listening to music on a small portable radio, her eyes occasionally glancing in the direction. Dakota approached Amelia, saying softly, "Amelia, do you have any suggestions for the first piece of music Jamie sent us?" Amelia looked her up and down, then smiled. "I like the idea, but there's one thing, the feeling of the music is a bit overshadowed by the deep gratitude. I think your feelings for Jamie are so strong that the music is overshadowed by your personal feelings." Dakota frowned slightly. "You mean, I'm too absorbed?" Amelia nodded. "You could say that. When you listen to the music, I hear love very clearly, but sometimes art needs to be a little cold to let the audience, the listener, feel it for themselves. If you let your emotions lead the way, the audience will know where you are, and sometimes, that takes away the surprise." Jamie stood nearby, listening to Amelia, feeling his cheeks heat up. He looked at Dakota, who was also a little absent-minded. The shocking statement. The atmosphere was still peaceful until Amelia stood up, looked at the small group of artists around the garden, and said a sentence that Jamie and Dakota would remember forever, a sentence that made both of them feel embarrassed, but also opened the door for them to look back at their relationship, their career, their art. Amelia spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "I think you, Dakota, are forgetting that you are more than just Jamie's lover, and Jamie, you are letting love overshadow you every time I stand next to you." The whole hall fell silent. The sound of night insects, the sound of the wind licking the leaves, drinking the flowers that fell lightly, as if waiting for a response. Dakota felt her heart being punched hard, burning with every drop of blood. She looked at Jamie. He was also blushing, his eyes slightly guilty. Jamie waved his hand slightly, his voice not stopping. "It's not like that. I just want you to understand." Amelia placed her hand on Dakota's shoulder gently. "You are very talented, Dakota. But sometimes you show others what you want them to see. the affection, the softness between the two of you, more than what you yourself want to send to outsiders. You, Jamie, your love for me is beautiful, but if it dominates every artistic choice, every word, then you will lose your own voice. You will be seen as a shadow behind her, not a guide. Dakota stammered, wanting to say something but couldn't. Amelia. Jamie stood up, his hands shaking, his eyes looking at Amelia. I never wanted that. You know what you want. But as soon as he finished speaking, he felt others looking at him with suspicion. Perhaps Amelia was right, perhaps he had not been strong enough to protect himself, to keep the line between love and art. Embarrassment bursts. After Amelia's words, the atmosphere of the party seemed to stop for a few minutes. Dakota took a step back, reluctantly picking up the glass of wine and putting it down on the table. Jamie reached out to touch the hem of Dakota's shirt, as if hoping that what she said was just a mistake, just a case of falling asleep in the middle of the night. A few people in the group began to whisper to each other, Amelia is right. Dakota should be more free. Jamie is affected a lot. The voices passed by, eyes following Dakota and Jamie's every move. Dakota lowered her head, trying not to cry. Her shoulders shook slightly as a gust of wind blew by, causing her silk dress to flutter. Jamie placed her hand on the back of Dakota's hand, gently, but Dakota pulled back. He felt numb. Ashamed not just of the words being exposed but of having allowed them to happen, of having allowed love, what should have been the strongest feeling, to be mixed with comparison, with the eyes of others. The days after the shock, the party was over, but the echoes of Amelia's words were still around them. On the way back to the hotel, Dakota was silent, looking out the car window, the street lights shimmering on the glass, tears welling up in the corners of her eyes. Jamie drove, shoulders hunched, silent for the long ride. That night, Dakota couldn't sleep. She felt as if she had lost a part of herself, not love, but the right to be seen as an independent artist, not just an actress with a celebrity. She thought of the roles she had turned down, the projects she had turned down because she wanted to keep her voice. And now, she worried, people would look at her through a magnifying glass, not for her talent, but for her connections. Jamie was restless, too. He wondered if he had done enough, had he given Dakota space? He wondered if Amelia's words were really heard, or if they were just interested in arguing. He wondered if he could express his love without letting it become a shadow that bothered the person he loved. Seeing Amelia again. 2 days later, Dakota decided to see Amelia, not to argue, but to say thank you, and to say sorry, for her reserved attitude, because she felt backed into a corner, but also because she needed to show Amelia that she wasn't completely passive. They arranged to meet at a small cafe by the marina. Amelia arrived first, wearing a light beige sweater, her hair loose to her shoulders, a gentle smile. Dakota arrived, a little slowly. Thank you for that night, Dakota said after ordering 2 cappuccinos. What you said, it hurt. But it also brought up something I'd been avoiding. Amelia nodded. I don't mean to hurt you. I just want to tell the truth. I think you're stronger than being hidden. Dakota looked into her coffee cup, slightly trembling. I'm afraid that if I continue the project with Jamie without setting clear boundaries, people will always think of me as the lover, not the creator, the artist. Amelia smiled respectfully. That's right. You are a proud lover, but you are also an actress, an artist, and sometimes people need to see you as that, not just in the eyes of others. Dakota closed her eyes, sighed. I want to say that I love Jamie, very much. But I need my lover to understand that I also need to be respected separately. Amelia put her hand on Dakota's hand. Jamie is a good person. I know he loves you. But good lovers sometimes need to be reminded, love is not a reason to lose yourself. Jamie realizes, A few days after meeting Amelia, Jamie calls Dakota, suggests they take an evening walk on the beach. They don't talk about movies, they don't talk about their joint projects, they just talk about the outside world, about the little things, the sound of the waves, the smell of salt, the wind blowing across their cheeks. Dakota says, "I've been thinking a lot about what Amelia said." Jamie stops walking, looking out at the water, the city lights reflecting off it. "Me too. Maybe I've been too complacent about just protecting you with love. But love also requires concrete actions, not just sweet words." Dakota is silent. "I don't want you to love me less. I just want you to let me live in my own light." Jamie bends down, takes Dakota's hand. I want you to be seen, not the person behind me, but the person standing next to me, the person whose own light shines brightly." She looks at him, tears glistening. "Thank you." Artistic transformation. After that night, Dakota began to choose other projects. She took roles without Jamie. She collaborated with independent directors. She flew to faraway places to shoot, sending scripts to people who had no connection to the familiar world. Jamie found himself having to learn to take a step back, not because he didn't want to be recognized, but because he wanted Dakota to be recognized. He began to let her speak. In interviews, at events, in the soundtrack, he talked less about we, and more about her work. Amelia, from afar, watched the process, following a few articles, a few interviews, a few comments from people in the industry, and smiled to herself. A significant event. A year later, the premiere of Jamie's musical, starring Dakota, had Amelia arranging the music. Before the premiere, Amelia took the small stage and said a few words. "I see here not just love, but independence, not just a union of two people, but a collaboration between two artists." When the lights came on, the screen spread the first image, the audience applauded. Jamie looked at Dakota. She stood there, eyes bright, head held high, looking at the projector. She did not cast a shadow behind. She was not overshadowed. She was herself. Dakota was touched. There was gratitude in her heart, to Amelia, to Jamie, to herself for daring to accept the words that had made her ashamed, for daring to change. Reflection and freedom. After the premiere, when everyone said goodbye, Dakota and Jamie stood on the porch of the theater, looking out at the shore, listening to the sound of the waves crashing on the shore. Dakota whispered, "I have remembered Amelia's words for a long time, but I was afraid that they would make me lose something, afraid that you would think I did not love enough." Jamie smiled, his hand stroking her hair. "I love you enough that you need to be you, not just with me." Good love is when you can both be yourself. She bowed her head, trembling slightly, but her heart was warm. "Thank you for listening. Thank you for changing," she said. Jamie hugged her, looking up at the sky with the faint stars, the moonlight filtering through the leaves. "Thank you for giving me the chance to be your lover, your friend, your companion, not your shadow." Quote.